everyone to live stream 24 of the space shooter DevVenture. So the last time we left off, we were trying to fix testing seek behavior. And one of the things that I managed to solve just after closing the live stream was there were some error messages. So I just figured out what they were talking about. One of them was that it was already connecting some of the signals. So something in the, I think it was the enemy ship itself, or was it in the waypoint behavior? I think one of the two. The point is I fixed that error, and then there was another error that once it reached the waypoint, it sent a signal to the enemy ship controller, but the function I was calling had changed. Remember, we added in, it was somewhere down here, on waypoint reached. This is on waypoint behavior, so we need to go to enemy ship controller here on enemy update. So on update waypoint size, on enemy reached waypoint, there we go. So I changed this function so that it includes the enemy ship as well as the waypoint that was reached. And when I was calling this in the enemy behavior on, or was it here? On area entered, emit signal, enemy reached waypoint. Enemy reached the waypoint, but it's not telling you which waypoint. If the current area is in group enemy ship, emit the signal enemy reached waypoint with the ID. Why is this? Okay, let's ignore that for now because I'm trying to give you I'm trying to give you a progress update and getting bogged down by all the details almost immediately. Okay, so the other thing that I realized, which we need to solve now before we continue with anything else, to get the testing seek behavior scene to work as it used to, but in a scalable way. Remember, that's the objective, is we want to make this work exactly the same way it used to, but in such a way that the foundations are laid for scaling, right? So at the moment, it's only for testing seek behavior and only for testing a single enemy ship's ability to seek. But as we are progressing through this whole process, we are advancing the functionality such that we can accommodate multiple enemies, right? So we can have more than one enemy ship seeking more than one waypoint, right? So they could all go to the same waypoint, or each of them could find their own waypoint, or a subset of all of the enemy ships could go to a single waypoint, for example, right? So if there were 5 enemy ships, we could have 2 of them going to one and the other 3 going to their own individual waypoints, or whatever combination or permutation you want to consider. And all of them should be possible, right? Now, in order to do that, of course, we need to have everything back the way it was with the underlying functionality set up for that kind of scaling. And so now we've advanced it a little bit, right? We've got an array instead of a single enemy ship. We've got an array of enemy ships. And instead of having an embedded enemy ship controller in the scene, right? So there used to be just an ordinary node with a script attached to that, and that was embedded in the scene. And it used to take each of these waypoints in as a parameter. So I would have to drag them into the exported array that I had in the script as things. And yes, that worked, as we've seen, right? It was working perfectly. And then I messed it up on purpose, trying to make it better. But the thing is, that's not scalable, because if I want to make a new scene, right, I would have to repeat that process. I would have to embed a new enemy ship controller node, add the script to it, put the waypoints down myself, and then drag them in manually. And that's extremely tedious and also fiddly. And there's too many steps. And the more steps you include, the more prone it is to falling into error, right? And I want to be able to make this procedural if I wanted to. I want to be able to make it that I can specify from a script, start the level and add these many waypoints. Or even better, have pre-configurations, right? So I have pre-configured patterns that I defined myself, and I just give it that stencil, basically, right? I give it a template. I say, I want this configuration alpha, or configuration delta, right? Or configuration gamma, or configuration omega, whatever you want to call it, right? And then each of these have predefined waypoint, like a predefined number of waypoints, each with their own locations and properties and types, right? Because we could have multiple types of waypoints and so on and so forth, blah, 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 right? The point is, I want this functionality. And I also want to be able to just have random, right? So randomized waypoint numbers and locations. And in order to do that, you obviously need the infrastructure underneath, and then you build on it. Like we told, like I mentioned in the last live stream, excuse me, there's this thing that I called, I called it the Shrek-nique, right? The Shrek technique, or the onion technique, or whatever you want to call it, where you build layer on top of layer. And we are building the core of the onion, and the next layer will build on top of this. We don't want to touch the next layer until this layer is done. So let's finish up. And the last thing that I think we need to do here, before we start adding more advanced features, is to fix the label numbers. Because at the moment, I'll show you, everything works except the waypoints. They all have the same number, and it's not 0, which means that it is actually assigning a new label number, a new number of to each of these labels, but it's going through each number, right? And then adding that number to each label of each waypoint, where it shouldn't. It should assign to the current waypoint and then ignore that waypoint and move on to the next one and change that one to be the next number. So let's see what's going on and try and figure this out, right? So as you can see, they all say 8, all of them, and enemy number 0. And if I added a separate enemy, it would probably also say 0, or maybe they'd both say 1. It depends, right? If I duplicated the code for setting the labels, like I used for the waypoints, it would probably do the same thing, which is good, because that means that the error is reproducible, right? It's repeatable. But as you can see now, the enemy ship is moving to random waypoints, right? So I can, for example, choose a waypoint myself. I can say, instead of going to this one, why don't you go to waypoint number 5? And then off it goes back to waypoint 5. It happened to be going to 5. We just don't know that because the label is wrong. And then we can go down to waypoint 2. Oh, it is going to 2. Okay, going to waypoint number 9. Okay, there we go. Changed course. Go to waypoint 8. And there it changes course again. And so now we've got the exact same functionality we had before, except now we just can't see the label numbers, right? So let's change this. Let's go ahead and fix that. Go back to the script, and in the enemy ship controller, in the ready function somewhere up here, we need to be able to here, update waypoints. Update waypoints. Let's go to that function. So we'll close the output and choose update waypoints. Okay, here we go. So for iterator, in range, old size, updated size. The waypoint node is a new is waypoints at iterator. And then if the waypoint node is not null, and the waypoint node is of type waypoint node, right? So this, remember, was a class. We changed the class name to be called type waypoint, just so that we can disambiguate it, right? Because there's all kinds of variable names and signals and whatever, right, that involve waypoint, right? So uppercase W, uppercase P, lowercase w, lowercase p, and all of this stuff, they all say like waypoint, and that's a problem, because now when you're using a class type waypoint, then what does it mean? Does it mean the group, because group is group waypoint, right? Or is it like some signal, or is it a function, or is it what is it? So I disambiguate that by saying type, type underscore, just so we know, oh, okay, so the class is called type waypoint, and it reads better too, right? So you could say if waypoint node and waypoint node is type waypoint. So now you can see automatically, now we are already checking that it is part of the waypoint class, right? And it's type waypoint. So that's cool. And add to group, set the ID to be of type to be iterator, waypoint ID assigned, emit iterator. Waypoint ID assigned is connected to what? Waypoint ID assigned signal in the ready function. Oh, we do it down here. Yes, we do. We connect it, don't we? Yeah. Waypoint ID assigned dot connect to waypoint node dot waypoint ID assigned. And waypoint node is of course of type waypoint, so behavior waypoint on waypoint ID assigned. Here, update waypoint number. Then if waypoint label, then waypoint label dot text is of type string ID. Okay. Can I just check with the chat? Are you able to follow with me, or am I moving too quickly? Am I explaining a bit too advanced again? Because I know last time you said you were able to follow. I just want to make sure that that's still true, because I don't want to go faster than you can handle. And I also want that kind of feedback just so that I know, right? Am I moving too quickly, or is my explanation a bit too advanced, or is it, too slow? What's going on? So if you don't mind letting me know, I'll carry on, but just let me know in the chat, please. So I'm going to take these two scripts and I'm going to put them in DeepSeek. And the only reason I'm doing this is to save time. I could figure it out myself, and I could do that with you here. But the problem then, of course, is it might take the entirety of the whole live stream, right? But it might take up the rest of the hour. And we don't have to. So I personally don't believe that AI is a bad thing if you know how to use it, right? So you don't overuse it, you don't over rely on it, you think for it, you think for yourself, and then in cases like this, which one is this now? Behavior waypoint. So in cases like this, you want it to make things go faster, right? So you know kind of what the problem is, and if you wanted to, you could ask DeepSeek to help you figure it out in a way that it doesn't tell you what the problem is. It guides you towards the solution. And we could do that. If you want me to do it that way, type it in the chat. Then I can see. But otherwise, I'll just do it this way again. I just paste the code in, tell it to give me the answer. Okay, so this is... Oh, I shouldn't have done it this way. I need to give it some context, right? So here is the code for behavior underscore waypoint .gd, not WASI point, waypoint .gd. And then, so the reason I do these triple backticks is to indicate to the chat, right? So to any AI platform, if you use backticks, it automatically says this is some kind of code block or some body of text as opposed to ordinary chat information. And so it automatically knows, okay, so I'm giving it a context. I'm saying, here's the code for behavior waypoint.gd. And then I give it a scope, the triple backtick scope, right? So triple backtick and then some kind of body of text. And then again, I close it off with a triple backticks. Then it knows, oh, that's the script code. So let's paste the code down there. And then we'll give it the other one. And here is the code for enemy waypoint controller.gd. And then I give it the scope of this one. Here we go. Copy all of this, put it in there. And then finally, here is the code for behavior enemy ship.gd. Behavior. Oh, this is actually enemy ship behavior. I should change that script name. So let's change this to be enemy ship behavior, but I should change the script to have it this way instead, so it's more consistent. Enemy ship behavior .gd. Copy all of this code. Make sure that we are in the right script. Copy it and then paste it there. And then there was one more, which was level manager or level config, right? I'm wondering if I should include this, because level config, level manager. No, let's leave it for now. So now in the testing seek behavior .tscn scene, I'm getting an error, or maybe not an error, but I'm getting a bug where the waypoints all have the same number. There are 9 waypoints and each one is saying 8 on its text label. What is this thing called? Waypoint has a waypoint number on its waypoint number. Confirm that that's how you spell it? No. Small p. Which is a label 3D. Please help me fix this so each label shows the actual ID of the waypoint +1 for human readability. Looking at your code, I can see the issue. The problem is the update waypoints function in enemy waypoint controller.gd. You are connecting the signal incorrectly. In this line, where you say waypoint ID assigned .connect waypoint node .on waypoint ID assigned, you are connecting the signal without specifying which parameter to pass. So all waypoints are getting the same ID, and that's likely the last one processed. The fix: change the signal connection to pass the correct iterator value. So here, change the signal connection to pass the correct iterator value. Function update waypoints. Also in your behavior waypoint.gd, update the display to show ID plus 1. In your behavior waypoint, update waypoint string ID plus 1. So that one's done. And then the key issue was the signal connection. Without the .bind iterator, all waypoints were receiving the same parameter when the signal was emitted. Okay, so let's see here where I connect it. Waypoint node dot on waypoint ID assigned dot bind iterator. So here in the enemy ship controller, here dot bind to iterator, and then let's just confirm that this is exactly the same. So if I do this, update waypoints for iterator, just get it all in line here. So for iterator in range old size and updated size, then waypoint node, waypoints in iterator. If waypoint node and waypoint node is type waypoint, then print the waypoint with iterator found and setting up. So waypoint iterator, so waypoint 0 found and setting up, all the way through to waypoint 8 found and setting up. Iterator plus 1 found and setting up, right? And then waypoint node.id is iterator, so we set the iterator to be the ID, and then waypoint node.add to group waypoint, so adding it to the waypoint group, and then here we're connecting the ID to the waypoint nodes function where it says on waypoint ID assigned, and then we are binding it to be binding it to iterator, and then waypoint ID is assigned dot emit iterator. And then if it's not found, or if it's not of type waypoint, then we print an error saying the node at this iterator is not of type waypoint. Is not a type waypoint object. Okay, so that's that. We've made the 2 changes. Now let's go ahead and test it and make sure that it's working correctly. So we'll make this full screen again. We'll make this full screen again. Go back to testing seek behavior and make sure that works. All right, so now we should see waypoints 1 all the way through to 9. It should say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then the enemy ship should still say 0, but we can change that in the code because it's identical mostly. For update waypoints and update enemy ships, they are roughly the same loops, So let's do that. Test this and see how it goes. So we've got a waypoint 1, a waypoint 2, a waypoint 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 is up there. There's an 8, and there's 9. Okay, and now we can check, because we've got the numbers, we can confirm that when I press num2, it actually goes to waypoint 2. So let's do this. I'll say waypoint 7, and then make sure it's going towards waypoint 7, which it is. It does seem to be going towards waypoint 7. All right. And now it's going towards waypoint 9. So let's say waypoint 4 instead. And then let's say waypoint 3. And there it goes. And now let's say waypoint 2. and there it goes, and then we'll say waypoint 6, and here it comes all the way down to waypoint 6. So it seems like all the numbers are working correctly. Now if you notice in the debugger, we've got 57 messages. Some of them are warnings and some of them are bugs, like errors. Let's see what they say. There are warnings like delta is never used, waypoint ID is never used, in find enemy for waypoint. And then here we go. In update waypoints error, signal waypoint ID assigned, expected 1 argument but called with 2. On waypoint ID assigned. In the waypoint behavior function, it should take a waypoint iterator. So here on waypoint ID assigned, it takes in a waypoint ID. Okay, so let's do that. We'll copy the code, we'll put it in DeepSeek, we'll give it the error message, and make it fix its own mistake. Okay, so that's this one. So let's do this. I'm getting an error message. In enemy ship controller.gd. Here is the script code in its current form. Then we copy all of this, make sure that we've copied the most recent version, and then we paste it all down here, and then we give it the error message as well. And here is the error message. What is that message? This thing. Copy the error message and paste it down here. Please help me fix this problem without causing new ones. The error is happening because you're connecting the signal with .bind iterator, which adds an extra parameter, but your waypoint ID assigned function only expects 1. Remove the bind iterator since the signal already passes the iterator when emitted. That's how we had it. That's how we had it, guys. I'll ask it, are you sure? This is how I had it last time, and that caused all the waypoints to have the same number on their labels. Will this not revert to the same problem as before? You're absolutely right to be skeptical. Let me think about this more carefully. The issue before was that when we connected without bind, all waypoints were getting the same ID because the signal connection was capturing the final value of iterator from the loop. Let me check the actual problem. When you do waypoint ID assigned .connect with waypoint node on waypoint ID assigned, and then waypoint ID assigned .emit iterator, the problem is that the signal is emitted to all connected waypoints, and they all receive the same iterator value. The real solution is not use signals for this at all, since we are setting the ID directly anyway. Since you are already setting waypoint node.id is iterator directly, you don't need the signal at all. The signal was causing the problem because it was broadcasting to all waypoints. Just set the ID directly and call the update function, and each waypoint will have its correct ID. Ah, that's very smart. Okay. Yeah, that's actually a much better way to do it, because now, if I go here, instead of saying, here's the code. So we remove the waypoint.connect and the waypoint.emit. The ID assigned connect and ID assigned emit, and instead we just say this instead. So now we can say waypoint node.update waypoint node.update waypoint number. Yeah, update waypoint number. Underscore update waypoint underscore number. And then we just eliminate these. Okay. And then we can do the same thing here. In the enemy ship behavior, we should have an update enemy ship number, which is the same thing. So now we can say here instead, enemy ship node dot update enemy ship number. That's how you spell it, right? Yes. And then get rid of that. And then we save this and we go here to the update enemy ship number, and the ID should be +1. Right? So now if we go back to this and test it, everything should work and these error messages should go away. The red ones anyway. Right? So we shouldn't see the red ones, we should only see the warnings. It's the same error all the way through, all the way through, all the way through. Because remember that it's 8 times 8, so there should be like, or 9 by 9. It's a lot, right? Because you're multiplying it by itself. That's why there's so many, as opposed to just having 9 errors. So you can ignore the warnings. Waypoint ID. Okay, well, let's run the scene and see how it works. Ah, we got a big failure. What is this saying? Update enemy ship number on a base object of type character body 3D type enemy ship. Why not? Invalid access to property or key on a base object of type character body 3D type enemy ship. So why can't I get it? Update enemy ship number. Oh, update enemy ship number. Oh no, yeah, I did it. I did it. It's not a function call. Cool. Okay. Now we got it. Still not? What? Non-existent function. Up8. Update enemy ship number. I think I'm gonna have to go in, copy this thing, and paste it over here, just to be fully sure it is exactly the same function call. And the same thing for you. Let's go here, we'll get the update waypoint number like that. And then we'll paste it here, just to be fully certain the spelling is perfect. So let's run it again. And this time it should work. Yes. Although the label for the enemy ship is still 0. Oh, come on. What happened? Seriously? It was working, guys. You know what? I think I did something wrong in the enemy ship behavior. The label text ID +1. And in the waypoint behavior, label text ID +1. Okay, fine. So here in the on area entered, emit signal enemy reached waypoint ID. Oh, remember I got bogged down with the details in the beginning? This was one of those things I got bogged down with, but we never fixed it. Okay, so on the enemy reached waypoint signal, we are only emitting which waypoint was reached, but we are not saying which enemy reached the waypoint. And we are connecting it to enemy reached waypoint dot connect enemy ship controller on enemy reached waypoint, and on enemy reached waypoint here has no parameter to manage. Ah, no, it does. So it takes in the enemy ship's ID and the waypoint ID. You see? So it should take in an enemy ship ID as well. So if we go back to the waypoint and connect it to enemy reached waypoint, it should have 2 parameters when we emit the signal, right? So down here, we need to emit 2 signals. We need to say if current area is in group enemy ship, and if the current area is in group enemy ship. So if I go to the pirate enemy and I check the area box, where's this area box? No. here on area 3D takes in current area. Maybe not area, let's say current body instead. Right, so if current body is in group enemy ship and current body is type enemy ship, then we can say current body dot two parameters. So we say current body dot ID and the waypoint ID. Now it should emit a signal that says, okay, well, enemy 0 has reached waypoint whatever, and then the enemy ship controller will be able to assign a new waypoint properly. Because if I press 3, it will go to 3, but it doesn't do that automatically at this time. So let's see what's going on. If it hits this, it should move on, and it's not. But if I say, for example, go towards waypoint 6, then off it goes. So it's still working, but it's not automatically reassigning the functionality anymore. And I need to see exactly why. Why is that not working? So on enemy reached waypoint, takes in the enemy ship ID. If I go towards the output, debugging process stopped. So let's run this again. It's not printing out anything. I wonder why not. So we run the scene. Why is there no output? So if I say this, move enemy to waypoint here, it should say print enemy ship directed to waypoint name. But it's not. Oh. That's why not. Error, ship node not found. Enemy ship 0 found and setting up. Ship node not found for path gun main. And timer cooldown. Well, that's interesting. I should have a look at this. Waypoint behavior already called. Enemy controller is null. So let's see. If I say find this message, no match. If I say find here, no match. Here. So it's automatically printing enemy controller is null. Enemy ship controller.waypoint ID assign.connect. So that is not needed anymore. Connecting enemy reached waypoint signal. So I'm just going through all my print messages to see where my error messages are actually being printed, and then find out why that's working and why that's not working, you know? So why, for example, is it not finding the path to the gun? And why is it not finding the path to the timer shot cooldown for this enemy ship? You know, enemy ship found and setting up. So if I go to enemy ship behavior and I move to the ready function, it should have done these things, right? So why is it doing something else. So let's see here. Enemy ship not found for path. Copy and paste. No match. Enemy ship controller. Paste. Enemy ship not found for path. Enemy ship node. Now, okay. Here's the thing, right? Remember we had an error in the last live stream where it was talking about lights, right? Omni lights that were of type waypoint. So if I go to the enemy ship, for example, and I move to the node and check the groups, you'll see that here the root of the node, of the scene, is of type enemy ship, right? But back at that time, the omni lights were also of type enemy ship. So let's check this. The gun should be of type, or should not be of type, enemy ship. And the other one, timer shot cooldown, should also not be of type enemy ship. Enemy ship number, health, health bar, tail thruster. None of these should be of type enemy ship. Only the root. Right? And I'm not sure why it's getting this. Gun main and timer shot cooldown. Because it's not even a direct thing. It should be like, so look, if I do this, gun pirate, and I say editable children, here, gun main and timer shot cooldown are children of a node that is its own scene. So why is it not able to find these? It shouldn't be able to find them. Well, maybe not. If I go to gun behavior, in the ready function, timer shot cooldown is timer shot cooldown. The path to it, right? And enemy ship controller, by the end of the ready function, it should have said config is successful. Where does it say config successful? Let's see. No match. No match. No match. So where is it saying this? Maybe in the gun behavior? Still no match. In level config. Or maybe level manager? Nope. Waypoint behavior? No. Ship controller? Still no. Okay, well, let's see. Waypoint behavior. Ready called. Okay. Connecting waypoint ID assigned signal, enemy controller is null. Oh, now it's just doing all the waypoints. Okay. But there's again this config successful message. Did I delete it? You know what? Let's run this again and get the most up-to-date output. Right? So, still saying config successful. I'm sure it's here then. In the update waypoint number. Okay, here we go. Level initialized, current waypoint, seeking waypoint, distance to waypoint, 29, 28, 27. Let's say distance to waypoint, and then go like 0.1. Zero, 1 point. Oh, that's the wrong thing. I'm searching the wrong thing. Paste it here, and then say 0.1, 1.1. It doesn't go lower than 20. That's interesting. Oh, because it never reached the waypoint. It never actually reached the waypoint. I should have let it reach a waypoint first. 0. Well, 0.97. Okay, here we go. Reached waypoint. Waypoint 1. Okay, let's see. Reached waypoint. If I say control find and I say reached waypoint. Okay, waypoint behavior. Enemy ship behavior. Here we go. Reached waypoint. If the distance to the waypoint is less than 1, then print it's reached the waypoint and emit the signal it's reached the waypoint with this thing, with its own ID and the waypoint that it got, right? So that means it's actually letting everyone know I've reached this waypoint, right? I've got this waypoint. I'm emitting the signal. And so the enemy ship controller should have handled this. So why isn't it handling this? So if we go into the enemy ship controller, enemy ship controller, on enemy reached waypoint, enemy reached waypoint, this is not being called. See, reached waypoint, toggling pause, current state false. Reached waypoint, current waypoint. Distance to waypoint, reached waypoint. So it's calling this thing, but it's not actually calling this thing. Here. Oh, you know what? You know what? I think in the update enemy ship size, I'm not connecting the signal properly. So in the enemy ship behavior, I have an update enemy ship number. So I should be connecting the signal, which I'm not doing. So in here, I think I deleted that when I shouldn't have. Update enemy ships. I create the new enemy ship, set the ID, give it the group, and then I call update enemy ship number, but I don't connect the signal, right? So I say enemy ship node dot on enemy reached waypoint. So enemy ship should have a signal up here, which it doesn't. Enemy reached waypoint, the waypoint ID. And this should be connected. But it isn't. Because it's not connected. I understand the problem. I'm just trying to figure out how to fix it. So I'm calling a signal that was never connected because I deleted the connection, right? So down here, I should have connected because I'm creating a new enemy ship, right? But I'm not connecting the signal. So I need to say enemy ship node dot waypoint reached enemy reached waypoint. Yeah, enemy reached waypoint dot connect. If I go up here, wait, if I go in the ready function, or maybe here, I have an enemy reached waypoint dot connect. So this is what I need to do in its own ready function. I'm not doing that, which I need to do. So I need to say enemy reached waypoint dot connect to enemy ship controller dot on enemy reached waypoint. I'll just copy that and paste it here. I hope this works. If it doesn't, then we'll just delegate this to DeepSeek again, right? But I did genuinely try to fix it myself this time, so you can't fault me on that. Let's run this. Aha, we've got an issue. And the issue is nm. Oh. We'll leave that out. Let's run it. Okay, it's moving. Everything's working until it reaches the waypoint. And there we go. So it was just a simple little thing. We didn't connect that signal. It was shouting out the signal all the time. It's just nobody was listening because it wasn't told to listen for it, right? It's like, hey, I've reached this waypoint. And enemy controller is like, who are you? So now we've got the solution. And it's working exactly as it should, right? The only issue now, of course, is that this label is still saying 0 when it should say 1. So let's fix that. In the enemy ship controller, down here with update enemy ship size, we shouldn't even be calling this, to be honest. Sorry, update enemy ships here. We really shouldn't even be calling it here. We should be calling it in its own on ready, right? So I'm not sure why we're doing any of this here, to be honest. Except now we do actually need to call the iterator, but in the enemy ship behavior, in the ready function, it should be automatically setting the label, which it's not doing. So let's do that. We'll call this update enemy ship number, right? And then it should set its own label in the ready function. So let's do this. We'll say underscore update enemy ship number, and then take it out from here because we don't need to do it there. And then here in the same way for the waypoint behavior, in the ready function, it should call its own update. If ID is not 1, it should call its own update number, which it's doing, right? And so we don't need it here in the waypoint, update waypoint thing. We don't actually need to call this in theory, but let's just confirm that before we close the live stream. And there we go. Everything is doing exactly what it should, right? We aren't interfering at all with the ready function, which is how things should be. We say, you handle your own initialization. I'm just going to initialize you, right? I instantiate you. You do the rest on your own. You know what you need to do, so do it, right? And now I can, for example, press num0 on the numpad and assign a random waypoint. And let's see if that works still. And yeah, it's going towards waypoint 1, and now going towards waypoint 5, and now it's going towards waypoint 3. Okay, I am so happy with this. And we've run out of time, but at least now we are finally done with testing seek behavior. We've gone through all of this effort to get right back to where we were, right? On the outermost, on the superficial side of things, it's working exactly the way it used to. But on the underlying side of things, it's completely different, and it's built for scaling, right? So now I can start doing things like adding in multiple enemies and testing how they behave with each other. And I can start adding in more complex behaviors like collision avoidance, right? So the two enemies should know where they are in relation to each other, and they should be able to avoid each other, right? So they should be, if they come too close to each other, they should kind of going around each other, while still seeking their targets. And they should do things like have formation, so flying in, like birds fly in that V-shaped formation, or they should fly in a cone formation, like in 3D they fly in a cone, or they could fly in a square or in a cube, or whatever. We can define those formations ourselves, right? But at the end of the day, we just want to be able to add that functionality, right? And right now we have the foundations to build that functionality in. So I'm going to end the live stream here and just give you an idea of what exactly I want to do, right? So there's this website that I'm going to follow in Vato. There's a tutorial for understanding steering behaviors, and I'm sorry if the screen is bright, but unfortunately this website doesn't have a dark theme. So please just bear with me on this one. But here you can see I followed the seek behavior for the scene that I just showed you. And now you'll see there are other ones, right? So flee and arrival, and wander, pursuit and evade, movement manager. So this one I think I've demonstrated to you. This is one of the slightly more advanced tutorials out of the collection. But this one is the enemy ship controller, right? So this one will tell you, will tell the enemy ship which enemy ship. So whatever enemy ship, get this enemy ship and tell it to move to this waypoint. Or get all enemy ships and tell them to behave in a certain way, right? So all enemy ships chase that particular defender, or all enemy ships chase that mining vessel, right? And then collision avoidance. So this is probably the next one I want to do, is to add in logic for each enemy ship to dodge all other enemy ships, right? And also dodge waypoints. Maybe not waypoints. If it's going straight for a waypoint, but maybe to actually, yeah. Now that I think about it, I wanted to be able to dodge a waypoint if it's not the current waypoint that it's seeking, right? So if I'm going towards waypoint 9, for example, I'm going to waypoint 9, but waypoints 3, 4, and 5 are all in my way as the enemy ship, right? So I'm going towards waypoint 9, but I'm going to have to go through some other waypoints along the way. I need to be able to avoid them, because if I collide with them, I'm going to unintentionally send a signal to the enemy ship controller that I've reached a waypoint. I've reached waypoint 3 when I was going for waypoint 9, right? So somehow I need to be able to manage this, because if I hit waypoint 3 along the way and I don't control that, then the enemy ship controller is going to think, oh, it's reached its destination, let's give it another one. Or let's tell it to do the next step, because maybe it's a multi-step process, right? And it's going to cause all kinds of problems, right? And it's going to be a nightmare to fix. So we want this in place, right? So if it's reached a waypoint and it's not the waypoint it was going for, then I need to have logic in place to protect that, right? So, oh, I've reached waypoint 3, and the enemy ship controller should be able to say to that enemy ship, so what? You're not going there. Go back. I mean, keep going, right? Who cares? Keep going. You're supposed to be at waypoint 9. And then it goes, oh, yeah, okay. And then it carries on. But it should also know that I'm about to hit this waypoint, right? Is it the waypoint I'm going for? And it should say, well, no, because I'm going for waypoint 9, and this is waypoint 3. So it should avoid the collision altogether, right? So I should have a failsafe in place that if it is hitting a waypoint that it wasn't supposed to hit, then we should handle that somehow. But in principle, it should never hit a waypoint it's not meant to hit. And so it should avoid all other waypoints except the one it's seeking, right? If I'm seeking waypoint 9, I should avoid all 8 of the other ones. No matter where they are, I should avoid them. I should find the most efficient path towards waypoint 9 while not colliding with any of the others, right? I hope that makes sense and that I'm not actually just confusing you further. But I think you can kind of see where I'm going with all of these things, right? Just by looking at the headings, I can kind of get an idea of what I want my enemy ships to be able to do, right? So follow the leader, follow a path, queuing, right? Maybe they're all queuing, like maybe the mining vessels are all queuing up to come and deliver their cargo, right? And there's a choke point along the way. And so they have to queue, right? So they have to find the best way to queue in and you know, form a line so they can all offload. And so you can see, like, there's 3 by 1, 2, 3. So there's 9 tutorials, and now we've laid the foundations to follow these properly. And as you can see, 2012, these are really old. 2013, 2014, these are quite old tutorials, but they are general in their approach. They talk about things in terms of vectors, and so it's engine agnostic, right? In the sense, it's general information, and so now I don't need to worry. It's not specific to a game engine or to a version of a game engine. So it's not like Unity and in the year 2012 or Unreal Engine in the year 2012. No, it's general. So I can use that for Godot Engine now in Godot Engine 4.5, which is awesome. So that's that. I'm going to close the live stream and stop talking now. Thank you so much for your time and for your attention. And then a big shout out to our junior DevVenturer. Cubes, thank you for your support. It means a lot to me. And to the rest of you, please consider visiting ko-fi.com if you wish to support the channel. And if you wish to support the channel in a non-financial way, then like and subscribe and share this live stream and all the others with anyone and everyone you know who might find this interesting, even slightly, right? Because even if they don't end up watching it, they might end up sharing it with others. And that helps the channel. It helps the growth. It helps support the channel, even in ways that you might not consider. So I do really encourage you all to share the video as well as like it. Just to let YouTube know, right, that I do actually have, you know, an audience that is interested in my content.